Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 293. Now, we are joined by a very special guest today, all the way from just outside New York in America, Chris Ryan. I'll just touch base. Pete, you're okay, aren't you? You're doing well this spring as we move. Yeah,
I'm outstandingly well. I've been doing lots and lots of long walks. I was showing a lady from Winnipeg around Bath yesterday, all over the place, just randomly. So, kind of things that I do. So, there you go. It's all good.
So we're joined by Chris Ryan from Chris Ryan Fitness, like I said, just outside New York. How are you doing, Chris? You okay?
I'm doing great. I'm super happy to be here. Pumped to be here with you, James and Peter. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. And it looks to me like you're in a gym as you.
Yes, record. This is my home gym / garage, but power rack, hex bar, my studio set up for my app that I shoot here and everything else. I have all the toys over there in the corner and everything. Show you guys around a little bit, but yeah, it's a full studio. But who needs to park a car in a garage after all, right? That's what the driveway's for. So you can, the garage nowadays is for, weights and studio setting to have an international best-selling app on, right? And get the world fitter. Better use of space, right? Real estate at the end of the day is highest and best use. So this is highest and best use.
That's the thing, because years ago you used to park the car in the garage so it wouldn't get stolen or wet because it would leak and all of that. Now it's not really a problem, is it?
Yeah, no big deal. I'd rather have weights.
Excellent. I mean, we've had Dan John on a number of times on here, and he's got a big sort of, I think it's a double garage or triple garage gym, but I think he still parks his cars in there, and then he wheels them out when he wants to train. But I think
that's the best. If I had a bigger garage, I would definitely have a classic like American muscle car, maybe even a classic British sports car or whatever, 60s, 70s. That'd be cool to have it like kind of like just chilling in the back. It doesn't even matter if it runs. Maybe I'll just buy like the front hood of like a Shelby Cobra and just kind of have like the front hood there, like out of the wall. Like it kind of looks like a 3D image. It doesn't really matter. It could just be there like in the corner.
Yeah. Or you could just paint your garage door. Like you can get that, can't you? To paint.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Peter's coming in hot. I love it. Love it.
Isn't there companies that do it where like if you've got a really good car, they'll paint your garage door to make it look like you've got some banger parked in there. So
oh, that's a good one. Maybe that's a good idea for that white wall back there. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So Chris, I mean, you've mentioned there your app, your fitness app that you have, and I know you've been in the kind of the fitness industry for a long time, and you're a former kind of Division I track athlete, and yeah, I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your
Sure.
kind of background? Before we came on, obviously we spoke. I know you've traveled extensively through Europe and from the UK and Ireland and that kind of thing. We just had a good chat before recording. But yeah, how have you come to fitness and health and longevity as a career? Is it what you've always done?
No, actually, it's not. I'll kind of give you hopefully the more brevity version of this, even though my wife sometimes a little bit too loquacious with my words and just talk a lot, but I'll try to cut it down. So I've always loved being athletic, and I played soccer, football at a young age for a long time, basketball, kind of gravitated towards track and field. As my legs got longer, my dad saw some opportunities in track and field as far as he's like, hey, you're actually pretty fast. And like the way team sports are set up here in America, like, if you're not on the right club, if you're not in the right position, it might be harder for you to excel at a very high level, which is, unfortunately true. Depending on like where you live in team sports, you have to travel a lot and that sort of a thing. And where I grew up in Michigan, in the Southeast Michigan area, it wasn't really a hotbed of like those sports for where I actually lived at the time. And I ended up peaking at 6 feet tall. So obviously the NBA wasn't calling at that point. But I excelled in track and field at an early age and just kind of took form from there. Like my dad said, the cool part with track and field is if you run a certain time, you can be in Timbuktu and people are going to notice. Like no one can say like you're not fast or you're not running that time, right? You just ran it and it's proven there in in the stopwatch. So that was really cool to understand like the quantitative methods of which to like calculate performance, right? And unfortunately though, I ended up being good at the 800 meters, which if anyone knows anything about athletics or track and field, it's not exactly the most fun event to do because it's just absolutely grueling because it's like this purgatory of like fire in your quads and your lungs, and you don't know if you're a sprinter or you don't know if you're a distance runner. And then you just kind of gravitate towards this brutal 2-lap race. But what's cool is when you transition over to the strength and conditioning training world, you end up having a really good basis of understanding aerobic, anaerobic style training, understanding threshold style training, what you can and cannot do, that sort of a thing. And I parlayed that over to clients thereafter. And I excelled with track, got it to be a pretty elite level runner or sub-elite level runner, made it to the University of Florida on scholarship. Unfortunately, my track career peaked out there. I ran a couple years there, suffered for some injuries from just like overuse injuries. Just the collegiate program is unforgiving, I guess, for some people. I would have been better off like not training as hard and probably racing as much. And the NCAA track program sometimes can like really like harden you out really quickly. And for me, it wasn't you're on this fine balance, almost like a racehorse, like where you can only take so much, and then otherwise you're going to get hurt and injured, and then you kind of get this like zone of like, oh my god, I'm just rehabbing, and then finally you get better, and then you're like out of shape because you've been rehabbing the whole time and that sort of a thing. So that taught me a lot about like what athletes can and cannot handle, right? It taught me a lot about the rehab process and everything else. And then I went after that, I went and graduated from Michigan State where my older brother was at. I was always close together with him. And after Michigan State, I double majored in econ and international relations there. And so I really took on to the business level. I excelled, graduated, at a high level with honors and everything. And as we spoke about right before we started casting, I interned over in London and consulting and then and investment banking back in the States for a little bit. And then eventually worked in finance in Chicago for about a year. Realized it wasn't for me post-graduation. Then I got in the glamorous business of fire, water, mold damage restoration work, if you will. It was I owned 4 Surf Pro franchises with my brother. And we ended up selling that successfully when I was about 28 years old. And during that time, I did a bunch of sprint triathlons, kind of like as an entrepreneur, where I was glued to my cell phone 24/7 because it was a 24/7 emergency service-based business. You're dealing with insurance companies and big property management companies if they had a water damage or fire damage in their buildings or homes or one of their insureds. You had crews that would go out there and take care of it. It was a great business. We built it up. But it really taught me about business as an entrepreneur, managing 20 plus employees, building a business from scratch, actually, within a great franchise system. And eventually that business, the franchisor, Surf Pro Corporate, was sold to Blackstone for $1 billion about 2018. So well after we sold in 2008, I think it was 2018 or 2019 they sold. But anyways, so it was a very big, large business. And being in that franchise hood, if you will, it taught me so much about business. But during that time, I really understood that I love fitness. My fitness was my outlet. Like I'd always done fitness as an athlete, but I never had done fitness as like a business, if you will. So after that time, I spent several months just kind of traveling the world. I like surfed in Brazil, skied in Japan, went over to London and saw Weston Fulham playing when Clint Dempsey was playing for Fulham. That was super fun. Like, we saw games in Allianz Stadium in Germany as well. So with Bayern Munich, kind of like just taking the world in for 3 months because I wasn't able to travel for like 6 years. And I love the world. I love meeting new people and cultures and all of that, sports, obviously. And so after I did that, I was like, okay, I got to do something I'm passionate about with my life, because even though we were successful with our original business in our 20s, I wasn't exactly passionate about it, right? I was passionate about marketing and sales and managing people and leading and that sort of a thing. But I wasn't passionate about that particular business. And then I was like, okay, what am I passionate about? I really love fitness. I love health. I love to get the best out of people and like kind of extract like what they didn't feel they had in themselves, when I could show them what they actually had in themselves and be like, oh, you surprised yourself. That's pretty damn cool, right? So then I in around my late 20s, so around 29, 30, I started to figure out, okay, I really like fitness. How can I build a business around that? I spent some time in Austin, Texas for about a year, doing some franchise consulting work. And then after that, I moved up to New York City on a whim. I had a super random occurrence of doing fitness modeling work at the ripe old age of 30 years old, with the likes of Wilhelmina was signed to me on a whim. I had done some pictures with some people in Austin that were randomly linked to some photographers in the city, in New York City. And then one of those random stories, it was like, oh, well, I have some savings. New York's not exactly a place where I ever thought I would go, but thank God I did, because then I met my future wife, Denise, ended up having 3 beautiful children, and like the rest is history, right? Just so ecstatic that I actually made that move, which was kind of like a random move at the time, but it talked to my soul of like, oh, like the Frank Sinatra song, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So that's what I did. I literally came up, had some friends in the finance world up here at the time, and they were like, talked me into it, had a good old time being single in New York for several months. And then eventually I met my wife, thank goodness, and then just started dating her, and then got married a couple years later. Had 3 beautiful children now, and living up in the suburbs. So the American dream, right? But during that time, I ended up shooting a lot of content with the likes of like Nike and Under Armour, Adidas, like shooting for covers for Men's Fitness, Men's Health, from Women's Health articles within Women's Health, and Shape Magazine, and started meeting people on fitness sets and building a business around training high-level executives in the New York City area, really building a substantial business base, because I came from a business background that happened to really have a passion for fitness itself. So I ended up getting my certs in like my CSCS, which is, a great cert to have with NSCA, and the CPT with NSCA. Got my USAW cert, Olympic lifting, loved it. And these are all things that kind of went back to my track and field base. And I took all my track and field training into all this and kind of meshed it all together with training executives, high-level professionals in the city, and then parlaying it out a little bit further into writing for the fitness magazines, appearing in the magazines, covers several times. And then I was cast in 2015, 2016 on NBCs STRONG. So you're probably familiar with like The Biggest Loser and American Ninja Warrior TV shows, correct? So
yep.
Same producers, and also a gentleman by the name of Sylvester Stallone, right? You remember him, played Rocky and Rambo and a few other amazing characters, like one of our, the best action heroes of all time. So he was the executive producer too. So handpicked by that crew of executive producers as one of America's top 10 trainers at the time, and then went out to Malibu for about 3.5, 4 months, shot a TV show out there called Strong, which was actually based on building muscle, building your inner strength, your inner mental fortitude, and also like how building muscle helps, combat your weight, your weight gain, helps with weight loss and all that other stuff, which around 2015, everything was about kind of like the shock and awe of like The Biggest Loser, of everything's like aerobic based, and just, oh, look at all the skin falling off. And this was much more of like, resetting your metabolism to realize like this is going to be healthier for long-term success. As you like lose a moderate amount or a small amount of weight, you don't want to have like massive weight gain, just shock and awe, right? Because then your body's really shocked. Then you have like loose skin, your metabolism doesn't necessarily reset, because you have to reset your metabolism with enough muscle to burn that fat off in the duration, right? So not to get too scientific for this podcast, but that show was, was well ahead of its time in that thought process for the masses out there. Obviously, in our world, we're like, yeah, of course, like you build muscle, you burn fat, right? And we know that. But a lot of the marketing at the time was like, oh, you have to only do aerobic work, and that's all you're going to do. And so that was really cool to be parlayed into that. And then my business started growing, kept growing back in New York. And then I had a great opportunity with Mirror, which was a startup that had about 10 million in funding. And then they got another series of 10 million in funding a year later, started by amazing CEO, Bryn Putnam. She was a former New York City ballerina, Harvard educated, just super smart CEO, raised her money from a bunch of Silicon Valley VCs. And then it was the first full-length interactive mirror. Basically, we look like real people, but holograms within the mirror, where we would be in a mirror so the people could see themselves working out at the same time you'd be teaching them, in almost like a vertical TV, if you will, but it was a mirror. So it was so cool. Like at that time, we debuted at TechCrunch with that product. I was one of the first hires there, one of the founding trainers. ended up becoming the number one trainer on both their biggest platforms in both strength and the cardio based workouts. And then we were bought out by Lululemon for $500 million US dollars in June of 2020. So they're right in the peak of COVID. And then Lululemon owned us for several more years thereafter, spun off of that role as Lululemon stopped doing the live and on the live workouts. And now it's just an on-demand platform. Had a great run with Lululemon. And then after that, I was able to, my non-compete ended. So I was able to kind of go out on my own again. But in the whole time I kept my training base going, but I couldn't do anything online. And now I could actually do something online. So then in May of 2024, I launched Chris Ryan Fitness app, which is available in every country around the world. And it's so fun to see workouts being shot in 6 continents. I'm still waiting for Antarctica. I do know some clients actually took one of those trips from Argentina to Antarctica. I was like, shoot a workout so I could say I've been on 7 continents. But if for some reason, like they were off like sightseeing and seeing, penguins. So they get to shoot a workout. But anyways, it was really cool to see like all of a sudden the world working out with you, right? Via, they could cast right to a TV, doing beginners, intermediate, advanced level strength-based workouts, all dumbbell band, body weight based workouts. So yes, I have a power rack. I have an erg. I have, a Concept 2 rower. I have a Rogue Echo bike. I do sprints. I do all that sort of training. I totally believe in it. But for the vast majority of people, we have to figure out a way to like get the world fitter and be as efficient as possible, both in time, space, and equipment needs possible, right? Because not everyone's going to convert their garage to a gym, right? And I totally get that, and I understand that they'd rather just work out in their living room with a pair of dumbbells. And I'm like, sweet, you can get a hell of a workout in just doing that, And so for me, what I've been passionate about is getting the world to be more fit and realize their actual potential. And so with the Chris Ryan Fitness app, I've been able to do that. And it's just been so fun. And what's really cool is I kept up with a mere base of doing live workouts. So I shoot about 6 to 7 live workouts each week at different times so that clients all over the world or members all over the world can hopefully partake at least in one workout live each week. But then there's a whole catalog of 600-700 workouts now of growing on-demand catalog, and the catalog is growing. So literally you could do a workout every day for 2 years and you never repeat the same workout. Like it's so cool. And they have stretch and mobility sessions in there as well. And everything's kind of geared into like a 10-minute, 15-minute workout, a 24-minute workout, a 30 or a 45-minute workout. So you know exactly what your time is going to be for the commitment. You know exactly what you need for equipment-wise, if it's going to be body weight, a resistance band, a mini band, or dumbbells. And you just rock and roll from there. Listen to me, it's full program. It's not like where you see me do 2 reps and then you're like, oh, okay, now I'm moving on to point B. And then 2 reps of like whatever else. It's like me interacting, giving shout outs so you almost feel like you're in a live class, if you will. And that way, hopefully it's a carrot and a stick for people out there and the members out there to stay a little bit more fit, to be like, oh, wow, I don't know who Karen is, but Karen's always in these lives and she's crushing it. And wow, he's giving birthday shout outs. That's really cool, right? Like he makes fitness fun. He kicks my butt at times in the best way possible, but fitness should be fun at the end of the day, and it should be achievable where everyone's going to feel some realm of success after their workout for sure. And that's like really my goal at the end of the day, is to get the world to be a fitter place. So hopefully that was as brief as possible on the fitness journey. Got a lot packed in there, but that's really like where it's at, started out young. Here I am discovering my passions in life and then made a business around it.
Excellent. And I mean, we did a podcast a couple of weeks back where we talked about creating like a low cost strength program or home gym, if you like, at home. And we just like you said, we kind of talked about kettlebells, like maybe a suspension trainer, like a TRX, some resistance bands. And that was it. And then maybe I think the biggest thing we talked about was potentially having like a pull-up bar or something, either freestanding or one that goes.
I love the pull-up bar. I think pull-ups are like the best because you can hang from it, like just to stretch out, like develop your grip strength, which obviously you guys know in your, I don't know if your listeners do, but like, grip strength has been geared in so many studies to like long-term longevity, health-wise, for a whole host of different factors, which is pretty interesting because you're like, why is grip strength like that? Well, and develop strength and everything. But it just like, I remember my grandfather had bad arthritis and he would like do like small like marbles or like heavy screws, and like would take like a screw and like screw it around, or excuse me, take a bolt and screw it around the screw just to keep the dexterity in his hands. He was a dentist by trade, and so I'm sure he probably developed some sort of arthritis from being a dentist for so long. But I remember him doing like little fine motor skill hand movements as he got into his 80s. And I was like, oh, Grandpa just would have just like been able to hang from a bar, might have been able to help out a lot with his grip strength, and just kind of like really like built in that overall strength to help out with his arthritis at that time. But yeah, just you just start to understand things as the decades go past a little bit more. And 45 years old now, and I look at fitness a little differently than I did when I was like, as a teenager, or, an elite athlete, and in my 20s, where I was like, oh, I just want to be beefy, if you will, because I was always a skinny runner. So I wanted to put on some weight and get some muscles for once in my life. Thankfully, I've found a good, I would call it a hybrid balance of like health, longevity, strength, and mobility, pliability within the muscles as well. Chase the kids around, throw balls, like still do pretty good workouts, and hopefully be the strongest guy in the house for a little while longer before my oldest takes me over here in a few years.
And what you was talking about really reminded me. There's a guy over here called Joe Wicks who during the pandemic over here, he started doing these daily workouts at the same time every day. And they kind of became kind of government backed, it was really publicized everywhere. And he was just doing these little 15 to 20 minute every morning kind of workouts. And like you say, either no equipment or very, very basic equipment. And it kind of became a bit of a, I suppose you'd say like a national treasure, or like he was really, it did amazing things for him, didn't it, Pete? And now he's obviously built on that for his business and stuff. But it started off just trying to kind of keep people moving when originally, schools were shut, gyms were shut, everyone was at home all day. So it was just giving people, and that sounds like you've taken that now, and that is the business. I mean, what do you feel? Because obviously being a kind of a cover model for, the kind of the men's health kind of thing, and that whole, and now that you say you're 45, but 45 is not old by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I'm 48 this year. Pete is, what are you, 49 this year, Pete?
I'm 50 in November, mate.
50 in November. Okay.
Whoa.
So we're all kind of.
Pete, I don't believe you. I need to see more grays in that beard, man. That beard's kicking butt. I love
honestly,
it. This is I definitely have a little bit more gray than you, man.
I've been taking a lot of collagen and stuff, but I'm on this biotin stuff as well for hair and nails and everything. It's like, well, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There's
man.
The secret.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, it's still we don't, even now, a lot of the people who train at my gym are in their 50s, their 60s, and their 70s. And I think as people are getting older, now we've spoke about it on the podcast before. 30 years ago, someone in their 50s or 60s was very different than someone in their 50s or 60s nowadays. The
100%.
People are so much. So how have you found, I mean, what's the demographic of your app? Do you know the kind of demographic details of the people? Yeah. What kind of people tend to be your customers and your users of your app?
It's funny. It's really 60-40 female to male, give or take. Sometimes it can skew 65-35. And so women love strength training now, and I'm a huge fan of that. I love it. Over the course of time, even my own personal one-to-one coaching business that I have as well, it's been about 50-50 to 60-40 women to men. Most of it's 20-year existence, give or take. So that's I think that's really great on so many levels. And I love training women and men. It doesn't really matter to me, but I love to let people surprise themselves pleasantly, to be like, oh, I lived for that. And then for some reason, I don't know. I grew up with parents that worked out. My mom strength trained and ran, 5Ks and stuff growing up. And my dad, this is back in the 70s and 80s. Like no one did it back then. My middle name's actually Conan after, Arnold. So like literally my dad was a huge Arnold fan. So I was born in April of 80. And Conan the Barbarian was kind of in the works, but it didn't come out, I think, until 81. But it had like a 1 or 2 year delay. So I think in 79, when my mom was pregnant with me, they were in talks with it. And then like Arnold won his last Olympia, I think in 80. And then, so like I was born in April of 80. And so like my dad's like, we're naming him Conan. My mom's like, oh my goodness, but anyway, so, yeah, who would have ever thought that I'd go in the fitness industry after that? But, how appropriate. My dad foresaw that. But I grew up with parents. My dad had like a power rack in the basement, and with the old York, like rusty ass plates. I loved it. Like, like the metal plates that would just clang. And we had a Everlast boxing bag down there. And I remember him, my brother, it was just my older brother and I were 2 years apart. So we'd have like pull-up contests down there, and my dad would just like, we'd be wrestling and, hitting on each other or whatever. And we got along most of the time, but of course we're brothers. And, I was probably annoyed and he was probably, like ready to pounce on me afterward. But, the best part is we'd go down there and we'd do a quick little, like, push up, pull up workout or sit ups or whatever. And when we were like 7, 8 years old, and it was so much fun. I just have great memories of that. And then we like go hit the boxing bag for like 5 minutes. And then like, we'd be like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And then, move on from that. But it was fun. So fitness has always kind of been in my family for sure. And it was just like one of those things that I was just like, seeing parents that worked out was a big plus in my life that was very unusual at that time. Now, taking it forward, I'm a parent, I'm a husband, my wife, she works out, I work out, obviously, and the kids see us work out, they think nothing of it, and they want to like work out too. So they come out here and do the similar workouts, like some like pull-ups, some push-ups, like sit-ups, squats, whatever it is, and just having fun with it. Even our 11-year-old son now, he's like, he's working with goblet squats now, medicine ball stuff, like, throwing for power, having a lot of fun with like the wickets or the sprint, the mini sprint hurdles of doing like lateral positioning work. He plays, both of my kids, my daughter and my son play a lot of lacrosse here. I never played it growing up in Michigan. I didn't really know what it was. It's a very East Coast heavy sport over here in the US, which I feel robbed because it looks so fun, right? It's like enough physicality, and I was never big enough for American football, but I loved being physical as a kid, and I was like, oh, that would have been perfect for me. But so was growing up in Michigan in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't there back then, but now it is all over the country, which is really cool. And then it's just fun to raise athletic kids and see parents working out too, and then also enjoying fitness with my wife, like seeing her understand, as she's a busy professional. She's an attorney by trade, and she's a managing director for a company, and seeing her being a busy mom, busy corporate executive, and also understanding that, hey, I need to get my workouts in. And she's like my doppelganger of a client because she's 40s. She knows that she needs this as to beat cortisol down and release some endorphins and be good for herself first, so that she can be the best parent possible, the best wife possible, the best, colleague possible in her work. And that's what really gets it for me, is because it's the same way with me. I need to be, as an entrepreneur, I need to be, ready to rock and roll at all points. I have very early days and kind of relatively later nights. So sleep's super important, but it's like, I have to gear in that sleep pattern too, right? But I have to make sure that I'm hitting on all bases with the different time zones that I account for and the different types of people that I work with and the app and everything else. And also being a great husband and a great father too. And fitness is like the foundation for that. And it really is like, so the 40s, really most of my clients seem to be like 35, or most of the members and the clients seem to be about 35 to about 60. But what's really cool is I have some older folks in there too, like seniors. I think the oldest clients are like early 80s, and they get after it. It's fun. They modify things, of course, and I offer modifications along the way, especially in the beginner workouts, where everything's programmed accordingly. I'm not going to have like burpees in like a beginner workout, right? We'll do like, knee push-ups, but maybe we'll do like knee push-ups down to like a pillow or an extra pad underneath your chest or whatever. So there's always modifications along the way. And what's really cool is when you have like, I call them the standard movement that's programmed for like a beginner workout or an intermediate workout or an advanced workout. And advanced usually don't have modifications for, because it's an advanced workout. So if you're there, you should be, the people that are taking those workouts want to hit it hard, right? And I'm huffing and puffing along with them, doing every single rep possible, probably at least 90% of the reps with the members themselves, right? So I'm doing the workouts right there with you and talking along the way. But like with the beginner and the intermediate race workouts, it's kind of like, you can offer some modifications so that it's all encompassing. You're casting a really wide net, so that there's no excuses. People always are going to feel successful at the end of the day. And you try to cast that net as wide as possible so that people are comfortable working out. They're comfortable working out from home, right? That they're learning. It's kind of like that old saying. I don't know if you guys have heard it before. It's like, if you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day. If you show a person how to fish, you feed them for a lifetime, right? And that's the same thing with me. It's like, maybe people will be app members forever, but maybe they'll be app members for a year or a few months or whatever, or maybe they're just here for the 7-day free trial. I don't know. But either way, I want to like be as positive to them as possible to make sure that they're going to feel successful at the end of the day, so that they understand that fitness should be, and hopefully is going to be, an important part of their overall life. And movement feels good, right? Maybe the first 5 minutes, especially for an early morning workout, are tough. But after the first 5 minutes, you're always like, oh God, it feels so much better. Hamstrings are looser, shoulders are pulled back, that sort of a thing. And it just feels great, right?
So what do you, in terms of the app, you've obviously got all of the workouts in there. Like you say, you've got a huge library of workouts now, hundreds of workouts, and you've got your kind of sort of 7-ish live ones every week. But you mentioned there kind of things like, sleep, nutrition, mobility, all this. So do you also have some kind of, I don't know if it's presentations in there or things that you do around lifestyle kind of education you mentioned as well? Is that part of the app as well?
Yeah, 100%. So we have every month we have new recipes and new nutrition plans that are launched every month. So, and they're there. So like you could go back to or a year and a half. I guess we launched nutrition about 14, 15 months ago. And so you could go back and see all the nutrition plans that we've offered every single month. But every single month, around the first of the month, there's brand new nutrition plans that are geared in each month so that you never get bored. What's really cool is, we're in a day and age where not everyone eats meat. So we have both meat and plant-based nutrition plans, and they're good. And they're not complex. Some recipes are slightly more complex than others. Some are super simple, but at the end of the day, it's hopefully invigorating for people to see healthy pictures of food, of organic food in front of you. That's achievable. Not super expensive dishes by any means, but like tastes good, achievable for most people that are going to be on the app. Don't take 2 hours to cook or anything like that. You don't need a smoker out back cooking like barbecue. Like this is like very, busy parent, kind of like 45-year-old busy parents coming in and be like, okay, I got to whip something together here. A little bit more on the meal prep side, have some things set off to the side. Maybe on the weekend, you might have to cut some vegetables or something, or kind of like think ahead, if you will, because you always make bad decisions with nutrition. I do. I know that if my wife buys cookies, I'm going to eat the cookies. So you just don't have it in your house, right? We also, back to the mobility and stretch side, we also have a whole slew of stretch and mobility classes too. They're generally about 15 minutes in length. Most are body weight, several foam roller style classes. But most are body weight, because I just want people to understand like how to move their body and open up, especially the ball and socket joints within the hips and the shoulders. Understand like how opening up your hamstrings is going to feel really good for yourself. Open up your hip flexors, open up through the shoulders. There's some classes are geared in on more static stretching, where you're holding the stretch for 60, 90 seconds or so. And a good majority of classes are movement based, to where, you might be doing, and what's funny is you talk to trainers and everyone's got, that's what you would call like an open book. Like you're opening up your shoulders as you have your knees locked in place. And all the trainers always have like different names for things. So like, obviously the stretches are going to be everyone's seen these stretches before, like at your level for sure. But like the vast majority of people, the members, haven't ever seen these stretches. They're like, oh my God, that feels amazing when I do that. And I try to like gear it in for like real life too. I'm like, let's say I also have like standing stretch classes. So, I'm also Titleist certified as well for golf, and learned a lot within. I'm not a big golfer myself, but golf it's an interesting sport because it's a power sport. But most of the people coming out don't think of themselves as power athletes, right? But I'm like, golf is a power sport, and you should treat it as such. You should warm up properly, the same way like an Olympic lifter does. That's why there's so many injuries in golf, because you get somebody that's been sitting down for 12 hours for 5 days a week, and then they go out on Saturday morning and they just go, all right, let's go drive. Pull out the driver, and oh, my back hurts. And then on top of that, they might have like a little tire around their waist too. And I'm like, yeah, it's a recipe for freaking disaster. Of course it is. So like, you have stretch and mobility programs for the golfers, the community out there. And like I love this stretch that you can do from a standing position or kind of slightly bent over, like it's called an A-frame stretch where you open up through your spine and shoulders. So if you're actually out there at the driving range, warming up before you go golf, or you just, even before the first hole, your first tee, like you can do like 2 or 3 minutes of mobility. It will help out tremendously for the, tapping into your inner golf athlete, if you will. So I try to think of everything along the lines of like, hey, once again, fitness is achievable for anybody. And it's funny because like a golf program is just, it's good for anyone, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be, but when you like say it's for somebody, it's like, oh, that speaks to me, right? But as I do, it's like, it could be good for a cyclist. It could be good for a mom postpartum. It could be, or a new mom postpartum. It could be good for a guy that's a power lifter or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like, mobility is mobility. It's good for everybody, At the end of the day, we should move, and we should move well, and we should move often. And a lot of people don't, unfortunately, check those boxes anymore because we're tight. I mean, I'm in front of a computer a good portion of my day, and I'm sure you guys are too. And we're in the freaking fitness industry, right? So every once in a while, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'll just go over there and bust out some pull-ups real quick because I just know I have to open up my shoulders because I've been sitting here typing away or whatever, or taking notes on something or doing a presentation or a podcast or whatever. And, I get tight sitting, I'm not meant to sit. I'm restless.
Golf's a great example because you've got your club to do like any rotation stretches with.
Yeah.
You can roll your foot along the ball as well to get your plantar fasciitis and all that sort of stuff. You got all the equipment you need for mobility, and then you can go and whack the ball with a club anyway, so you're sorted.
Totally. I tell the runners that don't golf, get a golf ball or two, have them there, sit down in your chair and do a little self-soothing massage and like apply your pressure gently at first because it's like could be painful depending on like, and then like kind of like push into it a little bit more. But back to my running days, I used to do that all the time. And also like doing like towel grabs with your toes, not to get too intricate on stuff, but like there's so many ways to train that are fun. And I think like a lot of times people like, they miss the forest for the trees where they think I'm training for an hour. My plan is black and white. I got to do this spreadsheet. And I'm like, you know what? The best plan is the one that survives a really bad day or a really bad week. And I said this the other day with some members during one of the live workouts. It was like, don't worry about today. If today was just a crap day, just throw it out the window, right? Maybe today you don't even work out, but guess what? Tomorrow's a new day. Try to look at things on a weekly basis rather than a daily basis at times with your own fitness and nutrition. Because if you're doing 80% of the time, you're doing the right things, you're going to have a high level of achievement. But if you like are one of those people that really beats themselves up over missing that workout, and then you get on that kind of like pain train of like never being, oh, I'm ticked off. I wasn't able to get my workout in today, or I'm such a loser because I only worked out for 10 minutes. Well, you know what? You worked out for 10 minutes. You should be damn proud of that. Like, because a lot of people would just be like, I'm just going to crack some beers and go down to the pub, have my pints. And there's a time and place for that. But also like, like get your workout in and then like worry about all the other stuff later and realize like paying yourself first in life is going to help you out so much more for that compounding effect of just health and longevity down the line. Because hopefully you do live for more decades ahead, right? Hopefully, the three of us do too, right? Tomorrow's not given, right? But we got to think like, and when I'm 80, I want to be like a kick-ass grandfather. I don't want to be like hunched over with arthritis and like, I want to like chase the grandkids around. I want to be able to do a pull-up. I want my grandkids to be like, holy shit, grandpa's strong, Like, and I think I will be like, and hopefully like when I'm 100, I just kind of like pass away in my sleep and that's cool, but until I'm at that point, like, I want to be like I want to live life to its fullest. I don't want to be in this like decrepit state in any way. And I just feel like life is so fleeting. And every day is just a blessing to be on this planet. And even in this day and age of like so many things going on in the world, that whole different discussion, but it's just like, enjoy the moment and enjoy, moving your body. Cause like you can move your body without anything and it feels good. Like you can do calisthenics based workouts as we all know, and you're going to feel a lot better afterward. Right.
I think
it's funny because
good.
the I saw a post earlier. It was earlier today actually, and Paul McElroy put it up, who coaches both me and James, and it was about being so strict. Like he was more talking about the food side of it. People who want to lose weight and get ripped and all of this, and then if they get all like orthorexic, I think, isn't it? Where it's like, you get stressed if you eat the wrong food or whatever. And what
Yeah,
you've just said as well is like if someone misses a workout and then they get stressed about it, it's just more stress in your life, isn't it?
totally.
So therefore, it's gonna the likelihood that you're gonna feel tight and tired the next day. Tomorrow's a new day, but the likelihood of feeling tight and tired if you're stressed because you missed today's workout, it's going to snowball into like not doing anything for a period of time. Whereas if you just go, today's not happening for whatever reason, and then you wake up the next day and you're more relaxed about it, you're more likely to be able to do something, aren't you? Or at least get back into it over the next few days rather than going the other way. And I've never really thought about it like that before. It's just adding more stress to your life if you do it in that way. Whereas if you just let it happen, do a bit of stretching,
Yeah,
do a bit of whatever, go out for a walk, do whatever, and you're like, right, I've done what I
totally.
need to do today. Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes, like, I find that too. Like, it'll be like one of those days that, I mean, I'm sure you guys have them too. It's like, we're in the fitness world. Like, I'm like, okay, I had this great plan. I was going to be working from like 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then at 11 a.m., I was going to go out and do this workout and then come back for my noon and like, that sort of a thing. And then shoot my workout in the afternoon and do my emails and everything. And I'm like, all right, all of a sudden, just like things happen. Life happens. And then, but maybe I just like go out and shoot hoops in the backyard over here with my kids for like 10 minutes afterward, or like dig in the garden or something, or go for a walk around the block. And that's all that's all I had today. And other times I'm like, wow, that day really sucked. And I just wasn't able to do anything. And I'll just get on the Echo bike back here at like kids are in bed and my wife might come down and do a little workout. And I'll just like, we did this last week. I wasn't able to work out the whole day. I was really busy, but I wanted to get some sort of like strength cardio based workout or cardio strength based workout. And so the rower and the Echo bike without pounding on my body, and sometimes running is great, but at the same time, running is hard on your joints overall. Right. So I tend to try to run on a woodway treadmill. I'm really dating myself here at like 45 years old. I'm like, oh yeah. But I think there's a smart way to train, and pounding on pavement and cement is hard on your body overall. But when I run, if I can run on a woodway or grass or trails or a rubber track, I'll gladly do that any day over running on roads, just because it's so much better for your body, as we all know, right? And I feel better afterward. Yeah, I was still able to do the run, just in a different, surface. But over here, like Echo bike, Concept 2 rower, love them. And I'll do those and I just kind of let the workout come to me sometimes. My dad always used to say that. He was a dentist as well. And it was just kind of like one of those things that, he would say, just let the workout come to you on some days. And there's a lot of interesting thought in that saying, because it's kind of like life, it's a little bit of like life. Like, okay, you can't control everything in your life. It might be cold. It might be windy. Your kids might have been up sick the night before. You might have a report due for your boss or whatever it is. Life happens. You might have gotten an fender bender with your car. Like, life happens, but realize okay, what can you control? You can control yourself and your emotions. Deep breath, get outside if you can, maybe just go for a walk around the block. And that's all you have to do today. Then wake up tomorrow, try to get your Z's, and then wake up tomorrow invigorated so you can attack the next day, hopefully with some positivity and some vigor, and move on from whatever those challenges were the previous day, right?
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I like what you said about the people in their minds sometimes think, unless I can do a full hour, I'm not going to do anything. And you said that you've got these sort of 10, 15, 20-minute mobility stretch sessions. And you also mentioned, rolling your foot on the golf ball or doing some simple 2 or 3 stretches for 5-10 minutes. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? We need to get away from, especially with people being so much busier now than maybe they were 20 years ago, this thought that a session has to be an hour for it to be valid.
Yeah.
I think that probably stops people doing far more than it helps. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it comes from like gyms and trainers and classes and, boutique fitness studios, they bill by the hour, right? Because it's easy. It's like attorneys bill by the hour, right? And it's an easy kind of way to compartmentalize your time value, right? And I get that. Like, I usually train if it's a private session with people online that I have, or I usually train for an hour with them, right? Sometimes we train for that whole hour, but it's just the way that I've set up my business for that front. But I tell them, like, I might even have them like do shorter workouts, and maybe we'll do like a little strength and an extra mobility session, or depending on like the way that their body is that day or what's going on in their stress levels for that day. And then other times, but I tell people all the time, like, I'll give them like their own, quote unquote homework to do. Just do this workout on the app, or do this, like, go out, like, do this treadmill workout or something, whatever it might be for that particular individual, so that they can just turn in that homework, if you will, to the teacher, and more importantly to themselves, turn in that homework so they can do it. A lot of times it's like 10, 20-minute workouts, kind of like relative intensity, but like dial it back a little bit, and like relative intensity, dial it back a little bit, depending on what they can and cannot handle at their levels. And they're always feel so much better for it. So much, because that's the way the human body is geared. Like, you can't fight nature. Like, our body has, hinge joints in our knees and our elbows, and ball and socket joints in our shoulders and our hips. And like, we move a certain way. And like, that's why we lunge. And this is why we squat. And our spine has vertebrae in it that, can move in a multitude of ways, but they lock up on us if we just kind of have crappy posture. Right. But we're rewarded if we put our bones under moderate stress, and our muscles and joints and tendons under moderate stresses. They set off osteoblasts in our bones. They have small micro tears in our muscles to get stronger. And the body gets rewarded for that. And the body likes that, right? But if you don't do that, like, you don't have a choice. You're going to atrophy. Like, I tell people this all the time. Like, you literally have two choices. You're either going to like get stronger and more mobile, or you're going to atrophy. You're never going to stay in that same zone. You need to move your body. And as the years accumulate and the decades accumulate, it's going to arguably get harder to get fitter. Can you get fitter at any age? Of course. When's the best time? Today, right? I don't care if you're 80, right? I don't care if you're 8, right? Like, you can get fitter. And the younger you are, of course, the easier it is to maintain as you go on. The problem is we have these I guess, most people don't play a sport in college. Like, in the US, we have a big intercollegiate athletic system, but to get to that level is extremely hard. You're talking 1% of the high school athletes make it to that level. And I'm sure, like, in the UK, it's very similar, right? To participate in sports at a major uni level. And then to move on beyond that, the collegiate level is a whole other aspect of, like, either professional or Olympic based. That's like 0.001%, right? And sometimes you get on with your professional career, your graduate studies, and you're moving on with life. You meet your future spouse, you start having children, and you're trying just to make it in this challenging world that we find ourselves today. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I just woke up and I'm 35 and I haven't moved in 15 years, right? And that's kind of the story as trainers we see a lot of people do. And so what I love is with my app, and it's not that it's not geared for 25-year-old people, but it's really geared towards those people in general that, like, need to get that, like, readjustment in their lives to say, I can achieve this, right? And I do have people that are in their 20s that are hitting beginner level workouts or advanced level workouts, and then some that are in their 50s hitting advanced level workouts because they've been athletes, or they've trained their whole life, and they're loving it, and they're just crushing it. But the best thing is like, just to, like, get moving today, not tomorrow, and just build your foundation as wide as possible across a good amount of, like, aerobic, strength and mobility based programming as much as possible. And when you combine those in there, you can just achieve amazing results for individuals across the spectrum, right? Of course, if you want to be, an elite powerlifter, you're going to go towards, that realm a little bit more. But it doesn't mean that you can't be super strong and super aerobically fit at the same time. I'm signed up for my first High Rocks race in June 1st in New York City this year. I've had a bunch of trainer friends in the fitness world being like, you should do this, with your running background, it'll be a lot of fun. It's all age based too. So you'll be in, like, different age brackets. And so started on my first High Rocks and June 1st in New York City. And I've started to run a little bit more because I'm like, it's a running event coupled with some like moderate strength-based work in there. So that'll be kind of fun. I haven't really competed in anything in over a decade. And so that'll be kind of fun I'll be 46 then. And so it'll be fun. But just to like get my aerobic like threshold basis going again has been a lot, but it's been fun to be like, oh, I don't want to become the skinny runner that I once was at, 18, 19 years old. So just like right before this back, I just did like a quick little like push pull workout with a quick bench set or a few sets on the bench and a few sets of pull-ups. And that was it. It took like 12, 13 minutes, soup to nuts, like just worked my way up. And it was like, great. Now I would have done probably a couple more sets to maintain a certain amount of strength if I wasn't running as much. And I could definitely tell I've lost like 4 or 5 pounds since I started, running. Before I used to run maybe 3 miles a week of some sort of sprint based intervals of like hill sprints or like repeat hundreds or 200s of like faster paces. And I used to love doing that. I would always do something on the echo bike or the rower. So I don't really count that, but actual running. But now I'm up to like 15-ish miles a week, which, is not much, but like, I'm not really going to do more than that. And I try to keep the intensity high. I'm a big fan of the Norwegian 4x4 protocol. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. I've been doing it forever. It's getting a lot of airplay on podcasts and within the fitness world in this day and age, which is great. I think it's awesome. And it's just such an efficient way to get aerobic capacity in of like 4 minutes at a VO2 max style pace of, if you will, at any sort of aerobic capacity thing of, a mechanism like the echo bike or assault bike or, the rower or running or swimming, and that's for that matter. And then with like a 3-minute walk, light jog, moderate rest, or light, pedal, row, whatever it might be, or light swim, or treading water. And so it's just like, for me, that workout takes less than 30 minutes. And it's just such an efficient way to kind of like get the like cheapest version of like the best workout possible for yourself, if you think of it like that. Because I've never been one of those people that I don't have time to like do a lot of zone 2, which I know is very beneficial for certain things, but I don't have a lot of time to do proper zone 2 training because I don't have like an hour and a half to train. So for me to like do things like in proper zone 2 that I would love to do, I just don't have it. Like I see some of these like people that do like ultra marathons and the like Ironmans and things like that, and even marathon training for that point. I'm like, that takes a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time. And I don't think most people do. And hats off to all those people that can train like that in their daily lives. But for me, it's like, I've tried to at least get 7 hours of sleep, and very rarely do I get that. I'm lucky to get 7, I hope. But between work and kids and family and my wife, and I just trying to be the best like husband, dad, and business person possible, I'm like, I don't have like 90 minutes to train a day. And so for me, I really practice what I preach of like very efficient workouts, the best possible, So that's what I do, and it works out well. So you kind of have that right hybrid balance, if you will, for speed, strength, size, aerobic capacity, endurance, whatever you want to call it, and it really helps out to keep yourself healthy, strong, fit, keep father time at bay, hopefully as long as possible along the way.
We had a couple of weeks ago. I've got a client called Steve Bush, and we had him on a couple of weeks back, and he's signed up because he's 60, and there's another client at the gym 60, and they're both going over to New York to do the High Rocks in June.
Oh, nice!
So I will, and they've just done literally as we're recording. Yesterday they did the High Rocks in London.
Awesome. I saw that that's great.
Yeah, so he's done 10 High Rockses now, and this guy is incredible. What I'll do, I'll check when he's doing it, because I think he's going over there for the whole week. I think it's a whole week, because because a few of them, 2 of them, I think himself and Carl are both doing the solo High Rocks or the individual High Rocks right at the start of the week, and then they're having a few days holiday in New York, and then they're doing like a double sort of later in the week, the 2 of them.
Oh, cool.
So I'll try and connect you to see if he can see, because Steve he's a fantastic guy. He had we done a few podcasts with him, but he was a few years ago. He was I don't know how stone doesn't mean anything to you in terms of weight. Let me just work out.
Yeah. I will say though, Chris,
I've heard it referred.
I will say though, Chris, keep an eye out today. Well, as we record today, comes out tomorrow, his episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he was about 420 pounds,
Oh,
in weight,
wow.
and then he had like a gastric surgery about 6 years ago, and he's totally changed his life. And he runs marathons, he cycles, he does high
Amazing.
roxes. Yeah, so I'll have to mention to him. I'll see which day he's doing it. But yeah, they're traveling out to New York to do the same high rocks that you're doing. So yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
So cool.
they're great guys.
The
Yeah.
only problem with High Rocks is it's so damn popular. It was hard to sign up for. I remember we were out skiing a holiday out in Colorado where the kids had winter break. And I came back like 2 hours later to sign up for it. I wanted to sign up for the pro division, and then it was everything was sold out. And then I'm like, oh well, now I can't do the High Rocks. I'm like, I would love to travel. I just to think about traveling to do my first High Rocks when it's available in New York was just kind of annoying. I was like, oh, I missed it by 2 hours, and was like, this thing sold out in 10 minutes or whatever. And then thank goodness they signed on some additional days. I'm doing it on a Monday, and I'm doing the regular division, but I was able to get in the regular High Rocks race, which is totally fine. I don't really care what I did. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. It's pretty much the same race except for some of the weights on the sled and the med ball. And it's same distance and everything else. So I'm looking. I just wanted to do something kind of train for something at this point in my life. And so I was like, you know what? That's something achievable, and it's something really cool. It's something I believe in. I think they're doing fantastic, except for the fact that they're too dang popular and it's hard to get in these race slots. So I don't even know what time on Monday of June 1st I'm racing or anything. I think you find out a couple days before, but I was able to get a spot. It was really funny. So my friend who's in the fitness industry DM me, he's like, dude, you can't, because they came out with 10 days later, they came out with more slots, but they were just the midweek, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday slots, or Monday and Wednesday or something like that. When a lot of people, of course, couldn't do them. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to sign up for it. And I'm like, Monday, I guess. And so I signed up for it, and I got a spot. So I felt like I already won by getting the actual slot. And I'm like, oh, now I just got to start running more. All right, here we go. So, but it's been kind of fun to I go back and you go back and you're doing this aerobic capacity work, and you're like, I like doing the speed work a little bit more. I think it's just kind of more fun for me in general. And then you're going back to this VO2 work, but I'm starting to find the enjoyment in it too, right? Where I'm it does feel good. You know, as long as I can keep up a certain amount of strength just for personal reasons, probably goes way back to being a skinny kid or something like that. But in general, I want to still remain moderately strong, but get a little bit fitter on the aerobic VO2 side. Totally down for it. So I'm doing my own little scientific experiment for myself. I've actually surprised myself a little bit with after the first few workouts of really getting back into it. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually it feels good. Okay. But I told myself, I was like, don't go crazy with this. Sometimes the competitive side of you can really take over. And I'm talking to myself internally. I'm make sure that you be good to your back and your joints and your knees, so you can get one road run a week max, maybe once every 10 days, and everything else has to be either on grass, track, or woodway treadmill. And I love the woodway. It's just so nice to run on. It's I have access to one of the little small gym around the corner, so thank goodness I can do that. I grew up running on treadmills in my basement during the cold Michigan winters to become a good runner and everything, and to stay in shape during the cold winter months and the icy time. And so, but for me to be on a treadmill again, I have to really want to do something. And but the woodways made it fun to be able to do that. I'm just wow, this is it feels like you're driving a sports car or whatever it is. It's very luxurious feeling. It's you go to a nice hotel, they have nice linens or whatever. It feels oh, this just feels good running on, whatever the trend. And I love how you can go up pretty fast within 5 seconds. You're holy cow. I'm the treadmill's already up. If you're running for 3 minutes, it's not 3:30 you have to run. It's okay, there you go. I'm doing my 800-meter intervals here at my 6-minute pace that I need to do. And I'm done. It's true to what you do, So just the High Rock seems to be a lot of fun. We should have another podcast afterward. Maybe have Steve on and, in the summer, we could talk about it, or hell, we could do it when, at the High Rocks afterward, and we could maybe have a pint and celebrate afterward or whatever. And we'll find a British pub in the New York area, and in the New York City area, and we can go from there. there's a bunch over here, so that'd be kind of fun.
Because Steve and Carl always have a pint afterwards. So they sent me a picture yesterday
right.
in London having a pint after.
I'm definitely gonna have one. I can't wait. But I am looking forward to it. I just hope, like, I've seen wonky things on Instagram of like people complaining about judging. I'm like, oh my goodness, I like hope I don't do anything stupid like where I didn't read the rules right. Of like, I don't know, like it's not super complex, but it is at the same time where you when you're gassed and winded, like you kind of make bad decisions. It's probably like you've had one too many pints. You're like, oh, I didn't realize I had to like go in this way and out this way or whatever. And then like you're doing extra work or you didn't do your burpees correctly or something. I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be a ton of fun. I've been enjoying the training for it and everything else. It's been fun to like kind of aim for something personally in life as well, even though it's kind of more tongue in cheek aiming for it. My most competitive days are behind me, but I do think that everyone's an athlete as long as they're living. I think you should consider yourself an athlete. And I say that, a little hubris, obviously, but it's kind of like, don't take yourself too seriously, but dude, like think of yourself as an athlete to where like you train because you have a body and your body is able to move. And that's such a gift. And sometimes it doesn't move as well as it used to. If you're many decades beyond your teens and 20s, but it doesn't mean that you can't move to the best of your potential at that point in your life, right? Like you're given this day, celebrate your health, celebrate your wealth of being, a person that's alive today, and celebrate being fit and celebrate getting fit, and don't sweat it if it was a bad day, as we talked about, kind of let that water off a duck's back, as you like to say, and go from there.
That's excellent. I think that's a really good place to wrap up there, Chris. And I really look forward to seeing how you get on with the high rocks and how much you enjoy it and everything else. Now, if people, obviously, this has been a great conversation. Like I say, I'm sure we will definitely speak again. But if people want to follow you, I suppose where are you most active? Is it Instagram? Where can people find out more about you?
Great. Thank you for that plug. Chris Ryan Fitness on Instagram. So CHRISRYAN Fitness on Instagram. They can check me out there. They can also check me out at chrisryanfitness.com. It's the website. You'll see a cool video and just different links for the app itself. Or the Chris Ryan Fitness app is also available worldwide in the iOS store. So for all Apple users, as well as the Google Play Store for all Android users, you can cast it out to your TV. New live workouts every week, a huge slew of on-demand content out there for beginners, intermediate, advanced level athletes, and mobility sessions, nutrition thrown in there as well for you for both meat and plant-based nutrition plans. And then what's really cool, you can download the workouts as well. So if you're in a place that doesn't have Wi-Fi, for instance, I'm a big fan of like if you go on vacation, holiday, and you want to go work out at the beach, I'm all for that. You're out in the mountains or something, you can just download that workout and then play it right there. So download the workout prior, but you don't always need Wi-Fi, which is really cool. And another thing too is like the apps, we've worked a lot on the tech side of it. So let's say you're doing a live workout, but you get an important work call, or your kid's, having your toddler's having a temper tantrum or whatever. You need to pause the live workout for like 5 minutes. Well, it's being shot live, but it's kind of the same way like your smart TV would work. You can just simply pause the live workout in that moment and then like come back to it 2 minutes later or 20 minutes later, and then it'll replay, even though like the live workout isn't uploaded yet, because it takes about 24 to 48 hours for my tech team to upload the live workouts into the on-demand catalog. So that way the on-demand catalog always grows. So you're never going to get bored with the workouts in themselves. And so I'm very proud of it. And, we're always working on it to make it, taking in any member feedback, if you will, or try to make the technology better. But it's shot in 4K and looks beautiful. It's shot right here in my home gym. So, of course, there's like cool workout equipment here in the background, which is for personal use. But for the most part, a lot of people don't have a power rack in their gym space. So I try to drum it down to make sure that you can get a kick butt workout in with dumbbells. You can get a kick butt workout with body weight. You can get a kick butt workout with resistance band. My favorites are the TheraBands. You can buy them on Amazon for a set of 3 of different tensions for $10. And they last for many years. I've had, multiple pairs that, of course, I'll lose them or I'll break them because like overuse or whatever. I'll wrap them around something sharp. But as long as you like kind of take care of them, they'll last forever for $10 of an investment into your health and well-being. And I love the variable tension that they have. And also you can throw them in a suitcase, a book bag, and your backpack or whatever, and take them on vacation, holiday with you, and travel the world with them. And we spend a good amount of time in Greece each summer. And so we always do, like, my wife and I will bring the bands over there, and we'll do like little mini band, resistance band workouts together, as well as some like hill sprints of my own that I love to do over there in the mountains in Greece and everything. And so it's just, you tend to think of like, what do you have access to? What can you do today? Not what can't you do today, is the way I look at it. So the glass is always half full in life, and like, go from it from there. You don't always need to have a state-of-the-art gym. You don't always need an hour, but you do have access to so many things. So start thinking of it like, what can you conquer today, and go from it from there.
Excellent, Chris. That was fantastic. Really, really good. That was good, wasn't it, Pete?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
really, really nice. Really, really good, Chris. We'll definitely speak to you again, and we definitely we're going to stay connected. And then
I'd love that.
When this is going out, I'll tag you in everything. When it's going out, and share it all with you, so you can share it as well with your people. But no, that's really great.
Oh, you're
Chris.
The best.
Yeah, thank you so much,
James and Pete. It's been great being on here with you guys. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so. Especially Apple Podcasts is where we're trying to get our reviews up. And if you don't already, please do give us a subscribe on YouTube. We will be back next week with episode 294. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Awesome work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Lant.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.